Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. Smishek's Custom Baits, Rick Smishek here, and I almost messed that up. Today I'm gonna make some jigs, right? And I'm also gonna talk about how to double dip your jigs. For example, these little guys here, okay? This orange here, it's a blaze orange, hot. I think it says, yeah, it says blaze orange. It's actually right inside the cabinet. It doesn't come out too well unless, it doesn't come out, well, I shouldn't say it doesn't come out too well. It just comes out a whole lot darker than what you're seeing here. Right, this guy right here, okay? If you don't double dip it, and what I mean by the double dipping is dip it into white first and then dip it into the orange. I've had some serious difficulty figuring that one out, figuring out how to make that one come out right. And as it turns out, I was getting the jig heads too hot, and as a result of that, I was getting too much white paint on the jig heads, and the white was bleeding through the secondary, the surface color far too much. So here's one where I didn't get it's supposed to be hot pink, okay? Doesn't look so hot, does it? That's because I didn't get the jig head hot enough for the pink, so it didn't pick up enough of the pink to cover up the white. The white underneath there, this is not too bad. It's actually pretty good. But today I'm gonna show you how I do that with round head jigs. I did some more practice with the small round head and pill head jigs, and when we move the camera over, I'll show you those too. Show you how they came out. Show you the things we're still working on. This whole jig painting business, I thought, well, how hard can that be? All right, yeah. I almost snorted there too as I was laughing. Sorry about that. But I have the mold ready. We're just gonna do round heads. I'm gonna do 16th. Wait, no, 1/8, 3/16, or what the heck is that? Okay, it's hard to read what the numbers and stuff they put in here. I'm gonna have to clean that up a little bit more. Which when I move the camera over, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So it's 1/16, 1/8, and 1/4. There we go. I got it. I said it. But when I move the camera over, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about there. In fact, I'll just clean it up too when I move it over. But anyways, this whole jig making process has been a little more difficult. Than what I thought. It's more involved. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. It's a little more involved. There's a whole lot more practice. I thought, just pour the jigs. I mean, for crying out loud, how hard can it be to fill a mold? Well, it can be hard if you don't preheat your mold. Okay. One of the Archie head jigs that I have, jig molds I have, the middle size, if you don't preheat, the middle size doesn't fill completely. When you break off the sprue, you can see that the jig head's hollow. Okay. That doesn't weigh 3/8 of an ounce. Not now. But if you preheat that mold, then it works right every time. If you don't preheat the mold, you screw up a couple of jigs and then they start coming out right. So pardon me. That's part of just getting to know your molds too. So let's go ahead and move stuff over. I'm going to go ahead and pour a couple of these jigs, and I'll show you these other jig heads, show you what went wrong, what went right, and hopefully this helps some people out. All right, so here you can see what I'm talking about with the letters and stuff in there. Okay. See, the 1/16 is right above this number 4. And the 1/8 is right above that. Well, and you can't even read what that is. That's 1/32. All I have to do is wipe this. This is the stuff There we go. This is the stuff that's that helps make the jigs. It makes them come out of the mold easier. Spray the mold with that stuff. When it starts wearing off, spray it again, whatever. But once that stuff gets down into the letters and the numbers, now it becomes super easy to read. This isn't bad, this stuff down here. But when before I wipe off that gray stuff, this stuff here is difficult to see. Okay, let's move over these guys. Okay, we get some hot pink, all right, and I'm going to go ahead and move these guys down too, real quick. We'll take a quick look at these guys. Most of these guys turned out pretty okay, except you can see right around the eye of the hook. Okay, there's a little bit of white that's where the orange didn't cover, and that's because of the heat shrink that I put on the eye of the hook. So I'll do some more experiment to see how to avoid that. But this one didn't get it. Okay, and this is a pretty nice looking jig. That turned out pretty good. So did the other one, by the way. This one here, you know, again, this one turned out really well. All right. Now the pill heads, they're a little bit different size. Okay. See, this one has some of that around the base of the eye a little bit, but other than that, and right on this side here, I didn't quite get enough heat onto the jig heads, so this side right there didn't quite get enough paint of the orange paint there. Here's another one where you see right by the base of the eye of the hook. We have that same issue. So that's, oops, let me get this over here. So that's kind of an ongoing issue there. But other than that, these orange ones, I think we already looked at this one. Oh, yeah, see this one here? I'll show you what I did there. I took and I was hanging them on this cup, just like this. I just dropped them. Well, it hit the glass. Oops. Okay, so I don't do that anymore. And I'll show you how I do that now. But now the pink ones, the hot pink ones, we already looked at this one here. That one didn't turn out well at all. This one here is pretty darn close, except we have that crap down, you know, that right by the base of the eye. Okay, here's another one I did. All right, same kind of thing. It looks pretty good. I mean, there's a little bit down here that didn't get enough pink, but mostly we're seeing the same things, the same minor issues here, except for these. I think it's this one and this one. All right, those two didn't get enough white paint or enough pink paint on them. And this one could have used a little bit more too. But these here are good. Those are, heck, I'll use them all in my tackle box. All right. But any of the rest of these, we could sell those. Well, except for that bit around the base of the eye of the hook. So well, once I get that figured out, then those will be ready to sell. Those particular ones, but, you know. All right. Okay. One thing we have to do when we put these up here is you have to grip this part here pretty tight to avoid getting flashing on the jigs. So, but let's go ahead and fill these 3 cavities. All right, there we go. And we had one that overflowed into the next one, and we have a little bit of flashing, but I'll clean those up. That's not a big deal. All right, let me go ahead and make a few more. I'll do that off camera. Okay, so I've got everything set up. I've got the fluid bed it's all ready to go. I've adjusted the airflow. And one thing I've noticed, let's talk about the fluid bed real quick. One thing I've noticed with the fluid bed is you don't necessarily have to see the powder bubbling like water boiling. You don't necessarily need to see that. What you do want to know, or what you do want to see though, is when you take the knife, or I stir mine with a knife, this butter knife, and when I get down towards the bottom, before I turn the air on, everything's real heavy, it's thick, whatnot, right? And what I'm looking for here, and in fact, this one here needs to have just a little more air coming through it again. There we go. Okay, there we go. You want it to be weightless. Okay, and you'll know immediately when that happens when the air is coming through, because the consistency just becomes, all of a sudden it's like wow, it's like you're stirring the knife in nothing. Okay, but that's one of the keys, I think, to getting this what we're about to do here, to getting this done properly. Okay, so all right, I'm going to set up the camera. I'm going to move it so that you can see what I'm doing here. You won't necessarily get to see this, all right? I'll tell you, I got over the heat, okay, so you know about how long I'm doing it. All right, let me go ahead and turn this heat gun on, okay? We're going to be double dipping all three of these colors here. I have the white, hot pink, dragonfly, and then candy yellow. Okay. The heat gun's ready. Okay, I have the first jig head over the heat gun. I'm done. I'm going to dip that super fast. See? You can see there's not a ton of white on that, all right? Now what I'm going to do, and right back there we didn't really catch it anyways, but that's okay. I'm going to heat it just a little bit more, done heating it, and then we're going to put it in the hot pink. And it looks like that's going to be just about beautiful, all right? So, and when you move them to the jig rack, to your jig rack, you don't want to be touching the head you just painted. Don't ask me how I know that. Okay. Tighten that up just a little bit. Okay. You see, I just stood it in the jig rack. I grabbed the eye of the hook with the hemostats. All right. Now let's move to the next size up. All right. And get this one ready. Okay, I'll see, put just a little more heat over here. There we go. To make sure I cover the entire jig head. And look at that. You see some of the gray through it, and that's kind of what you want. At least that's what I found so far. Okay. And now look at that. I didn't even have to, in this case, I didn't even feel like I needed to, to heat the jig head anymore. But I probably did. You know what? I can see some of the white through there. Dadgummit. Okay, so that means the next one, I'll be putting it over the heat again. But so far, it doesn't look like I have any issues with the paint not covering right around the eye of the hook. Okay, there's that one. All right, now we're going to use the big 1/4 ounce, and that's going to take a little more heat. And we need to use the next size up on the heat shrink for the hook, for the eye of the hook. So let's get this one heated. Oops, I dropped that one, it fell right off. Okay, here we go. Do this white on this big one. And looks like we got a pretty even coat. So I'm going to add just a little more heat to this. All right, just like that, and give it another quick swish. And it looks like we've covered pretty nicely. Okay, that's what it looks like so far. And hopefully I'm making this so you guys can see them. Maybe I wasn't holding that other one over far enough for the camera. Hopefully. It's kind of hard to know right now. We can't look through the viewfinder. All right, I'll go ahead and put that one on the jig rack. Oops. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and cover up the pink. Okay. Shut it off. There we go. And now we're going to move to the dragonfly color. I'm gonna start with the small jig head again. Okay, go with the white again. Just a touch more heat. Drop it in that dragonfly color. Oh wow, look at that. Except on that back side there, I'm going to touch that just a little bit and drop it in. And I think that did it. It was a little bit light back here on this side. Ooh, almost scraped it. It was a little bit light back here on this back side, so I just ran it right across the heat gun like that, and then, well, then you saw what I did with the paint. All right, let me get this one. In the jig rack. Okay, it's in there. All right, let's go with the second one, that middle size, which is 1/8. No, that's, yeah, 16, 1/8, and 1/4. All right, let me heat this one. Okay, that's probably enough. Let's dip it real quick. Give it a touch more heat. I swished it a little bit longer this time because of how the other one turned out. And I think maybe a touch more heat and swish it again. And there we go, that looks pretty good. And so far I'm not having a huge problem with the paint around the base of the eye of the hook. And really all I did different was I just quit pushing it all the way down real hard. I just set it on there. Okay, let's get this next jig, this 1/4 ounce one ready. Okay, here we go. A little white. Now that covered pretty darn good. I'm going to give it just a touch of heat here. Okay. Now let's take a look at that. And it looks like we've covered pretty evenly. So I'm going to put it in the jig rack. Okay, here we go. That one's in a, oops, I need to tighten that up. Now you want these things standing up straight in your jig rack. You don't want them standing in there like this or like this, because if you do that, then if there's, oops, sorry about that. You don't want them like this or like this, okay? You want them standing straight up. That way, if you have too much paint and it runs, it doesn't gather in these corners there. It just runs down the shank of the hook. Okay, I had a couple of them that need to be stood up just a little bit. All right, now the last thing we're going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and cover up the dragonfly because we're done with that. The last thing we're going to do is that candy yellow. And once again, we will start with the smallest jig head. Ooh, that's a lot of white. Means I got that a little too hot, I think. But let's dip it here in this candy yellow, okay? And it looks like we have a pretty nice, pretty even coat so far, but you never know for sure until you bake them, until you have to bake them. So we'll see how these turn out. I definitely have not mastered this yet, but I'm also definitely getting better. All right, the mid-size had to tighten up that next nut on the jig rack. I'll show you that here in just a second. Show you everything's on it. All right, I'm heating up the jig head. All right, let's dip it in there in the white, and that looks like a pretty nice even coat. So just a little more heat for this one. And it looks like we've got a pretty even coat of paint, I think. Now, if it's enough paint or not, that's another story. Might have to. Well, we might take these out of the toaster oven and realize that I need to give just a little bit more heat before the second dip. Oh, come on. I had one fall over. I had a jig fall over. There we go. Didn't quite have the rack tight enough for it. There's that. All right, there we go. Now we have one more jig head to paint. I made one extra in each size just in case something went wrong. But, well, knock on wood here. So far, it hasn't been an issue. Getting this one hot. Here we go. Just about done. There we go. Real quick. Okay. Looks like we've got, ooh, right there we missed a spot. Just a touch of heat. Touch it back in there, and looks like we've covered it. Okay. Now I'm going to put just a little more heat on here, just so that we can make sure we get this one covered real well. Okay, now, let's see here. I think I need to touch that right there again. But other than that, it looks okay. Let's touch that over there again and see. I'm going to give it a little heat because I don't think anything's stuck. It looks a little better, but it's still, we'll see what it looks like when it's done painting. I might wish I had done something a little different there. But it also might turn out that it was just exactly what we needed. All right, well, they're out of the oven now. And for the most part, they look pretty good. This one here could have used a little more heat for a little more paint. Same with this one here, but I think they're okay. Although I do have, on this one and this one, I do have issues with, I don't know if you can see it under there. These are still pretty hot, so I wasn't gonna take them out yet. But they're issues with the heat shrink. But as you can see, the Dragonfly here could stand to have a little bit more paint. It's not as even. Rotate this a little bit. It's not as even as I might have liked, but I think they're still usable. And then the Candy Yellow. That came out the best out of any of them, okay? I think all those are pretty good. I'll be tying stuff on those in the next week. Okay, so that's it for our video for today. Next week, I'll be using these same jigs, and we'll be tying some stuff on them. I'm not sure exactly what yet, but I'll get that figured out. I have a week. And then the week after that, we'll be working with the same jigs again, and that time, 2 weeks from now, I'll be making some soft plastics that I think might go with some of these jigs. So if you liked what you saw, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell too, so you get notifications when we get new videos up. And if you have suggestions for how to fine tune this process, by all means, put them down in the comments down below. Until next time, folks, tighten lines and calm waters. God bless.